Imagine a city on the brink of transformation, a city where decades of the same politics, the same broken promises, and the same unanswered challenges are finally meeting a new force. A leader who refuses to play by the old rules, a leader who promises action, not talk. Tonight, we witness history in the making. Miami is changing, and the question on everyone's mind is simple. Will this new leadership deliver on its bold promises, reshape the city's future, and finally give residents the results they've been waiting for? Buckle up, because what's coming next isn't just another election story. It's a blueprint for real change, and it's unfolding right before our eyes. When we talk about leadership today, we often get distracted by the noise, the slogans, the debates, the endless rhetoric. But real leadership, the kind that moves communities forward and changes outcomes, is grounded in pragmatism. It's about approaching problems with a clear mind, a methodical plan, and a relentless focus on execution. In a city like Miami, where growth, diversity, and opportunity collide with complex challenges, pragmatism isn't just a preference, it's a necessity. What we need are leaders who don't get lost in ideology, who don't chase headlines, and who don't promise the impossible. We need leaders who understand that success is measured not by the volume of your words, but by the results you deliver. Pragmatic leadership is about clarity of purpose. It's about understanding what's realistic, what's achievable, and what will genuinely improve people's lives. It's about assessing the challenges before you, analyzing the data, and making decisions that may not always be flashy, but are always effective. When you lead this way, people notice, not because of speeches, but because of outcomes. People notice when neighborhoods are safer, when city services improve, when opportunities expand, and when government actually delivers. Pragmatism in leadership is what turns aspirations into tangible progress. It's also about consistency. A pragmatic leader doesn't change direction based on trends or pressure. They adhere to a disciplined approach, adjusting when necessary, but always focused on the mission. They understand that Miami's potential is vast, but so are the challenges, and that addressing those challenges requires steady hands and careful judgment. When decisions are made with thoughtfulness and a results-driven mindset, trust builds naturally among residents, among businesses, and among the broader community. And trust, in turn, creates the foundation for long-term success. Moreover, pragmatic leadership is grounded in accountability. It's not enough to talk about visions or plans. A leader must deliver on promises. People measure leadership by outcomes, by whether commitments are fulfilled, by whether the city moves forward in measurable, positive ways. Promises are not empty words. They are contracts with the community, with every resident who expects better schools, better roads, better services, and better opportunities. Pragmatic leadership ensures that these promises are kept because every decision is informed by reality, guided by data, and executed with precision. Finally, pragmatism in leadership creates momentum. Small, effective, tangible wins build confidence, inspire collaboration, and set the stage for larger transformation. Miami has an enormous capacity to thrive, and the city requires leaders who see the possibilities clearly and act decisively. Pragmatism ensures that every initiative has a purpose, every action has impact, and every result strengthens the foundation for future growth. Leadership rooted in pragmatism is, above all, leadership that works, that produces results, earns respect, and leaves a legacy defined by action, not rhetoric. When we think about leadership in the truest sense, beyond slogans and campaign rhetoric, what matters most is whether a leader keeps the promises they make. In public service, commitments are not casual words spoken for applause. They are obligations to the people who put their faith in you. Keeping promises is the foundation of trust between a leader and a community, and it is the bedrock upon which real progress is built. When an elected leader fulfills what they pledge to do, it signals to every resident that their voice matters and that their city's future is being guided by steadfast principles and effective execution. This is not abstract theory. In the recent election in Miami, what stood out and what earned widespread praise was the clear articulation of priorities and the unwavering commitment to follow through on them once elected. Voters were not sold vague ideas. They were presented with a concrete set of goals, addressing affordability, restoring civility in government, improving basic services, and ending the chaos that had come to define too many public meetings. This kind of clarity matters because it creates accountability. When you know exactly what promises were made, it becomes straightforward to measure performance once a leader takes office. Keeping promises is not always easy. It demands discipline, a realistic assessment of resources, and the courage to tackle entrenched problems without resorting to political gimmicks or short-term fixes. The real test is not how a leader speaks on the campaign trail, but how they deliver when the work begins. For Miami, addressing issues such as skyrocketing housing costs and the inefficiencies in city government requires both vision and persistence. It means rolling up sleeves to reform permitting processes, to dedicate city-owned land to much-needed housing, and to inject a sense of purpose and professionalism back into City Hall. These are not quick wins, they are sustained efforts that demand honest leadership. Retention of public trust also hinges on transparency. A commitment to deliver results, whether that is expanding affordable housing, ensuring financial stability, or enhancing public safety, must be paired with open communication about the progress being made and the challenges encountered. People need to know what has been done, what still needs to be done, and why certain paths were chosen. This level of accountability ensures that a leader remains connected with the citizens they serve, reinforcing that promises are not merely political rhetoric but actionable goals. The difference between a promise kept and a promise broken resonates far beyond the immediate policy outcomes. It affects confidence in institutions, confidence in government, and confidence within the community itself. When people see that commitments are honored, it fosters a culture where collective effort is valued and civic engagement thrives. That is how a city moves forward, not through empty words, but through a consistent record of delivery and a leadership style defined by follow-through. In short, keeping promises is not an afterthought. It is the essence of effective leadership and the key to unlocking progress for every resident. When you step back and look at what just happened in Miami, it's impossible not to recognize that this moment marks a significant shift in the city's political landscape, and one that carries real implications for the future of governance and civic expectations. For nearly 3 decades, the mayor's office in Miami was held by leaders from a single political perspective, shaping policy and direction with a continuity that, while familiar, also became predictable. But this election brought more than a new name to City Hall. It brought a decisive change in how residents see their government and its priorities. The city chose a leader who not only broke the long-standing streak of one-party control, but did so in a way that resonates with broad swaths of the community, winning by a clear margin and reflecting deep engagement on issues that matter most to everyday people. This isn't just about partisan labels or election night headlines. What we witnessed was a community expressing a desire for fresh leadership, new energy, and a different approach to solving persistent problems. Miami's voters are signaling that they want their mayor to tackle real challenges: affordable housing, economic opportunity, public infrastructure, and quality of life, with solutions that are sensible, data-driven, and focused squarely on the people who live and work here. That's the essence of effective public leadership in the 21st century: listening to the community, understanding its diverse needs, and responding not with ideology but with results. It's also important to recognize the broader significance of this shift. Miami, as one of the nation's most dynamic and globally connected cities, reflects trends that extend beyond its city limits. The election outcome drew attention from political observers across the country precisely because it underscored how urban centers are evolving, how voters are prioritizing practical solutions over partisan gridlock, and how demographic and economic realities are reshaping political expectations. A leadership change of this magnitude, the first in nearly 30 years, is not merely historic, it's transformative. What makes this transition even more noteworthy is that it came through a competitive and highly engaged electoral process. Despite efforts to delay the election and despite national involvement from prominent figures on both sides, the residents of Miami exercised their voice clearly and emphatically. They made a choice not based on external endorsements, but based on who they believe will govern thoughtfully, deliver results, and improve daily life in their neighborhoods. That choice reflects a community eager for government that works, not just in theory, but in practice, Ultimately, this change represents more than a single election result. It represents a commitment by the people of Miami to a future defined by action, by accountability, and by leadership that prioritizes outcomes over noise. The significance of that cannot be overstated. It's a reminder that the trust placed in public office carries weight, and that when that trust is matched with clear, pragmatic leadership, a city can move forward with confidence and purpose. When you talk about the real issues facing a city like Miami, you're not engaging in abstract theory. You're confronting the daily realities that shape people's lives. A community's well-being isn't defined by slogans or promises of grandeur. It's defined by how its leaders tackle the concrete challenges that stand between citizens and their opportunities, their safety, and their future. Right now, the most pressing issues Miami faces are unmistakable. Housing that's become unaffordable for ordinary families, outdated and inefficient. Government processes that slow progress, and a city government that needs modernization and renewed focus on delivering for residents. These are not peripheral talking points. They are the core problems that have inhibited Miami's full potential for too long. And addressing them demands leadership that treats every challenge with strategic clarity and purposeful action. Affordable housing isn't just an economic statistic. It's a crisis that affects the fabric of daily life in Miami. When people can't afford the city they serve and support, the social and economic consequences ripple outward. This isn't about theory, it's about middle-class families who struggle to keep a roof over their heads, young professionals who cannot stay in the city they were raised in, and workers who make Miami run but are forced to look elsewhere for affordable living. Tackling this challenge means more than talking about problems. It means deploying practical tools like using city-owned land for housing opportunities, creating dedicated housing trust funds, and reforming the permitting system that often slows down essential development. These are the kinds of grounded, result-oriented strategies that demonstrate leadership understands the stakes and is ready to act. But housing is just one piece of the puzzle. A city government that can't move efficiently becomes a barrier to progress instead of a facilitator. Long permitting times, bureaucratic red tape, and outdated systems are not just annoyances. They impede investment, stall job creation, and frustrate everyday citizens. Reforming these processes isn't about political posturing. It's about unlocking Miami's potential as a vibrant, livable, and economically dynamic city. A focus on efficiency means evaluating the systems that govern city services and prioritizing smart, data-driven fixes so that businesses can thrive. Lies can build stability, and the city can operate with the kind of competence citizens expect. In addition to these operational reforms, leadership must also confront the broader governance challenges that come with rapid growth and evolving demographics. Miami is one of the most diverse cities in the nation, with a majority of its population born outside the United States. This diversity is part of its strength, but it also brings unique responsibilities in terms of inclusion, fairness, and community safety. A responsible leader must ensure that policies reflect the city's values, protect its residents' rights, and uphold a sense of unity without sacrificing pragmatism. Confronting complex issues like immigration enforcement and community safety with a measured, humane approach reflects the kind of grounded, thoughtful governance that cities need in moments of transition. Leadership isn't measured by speeches. It's measured by outcomes. When a leader focuses on tackling the actual challenges that affect affordability, governmental efficiency, and civic trust, the community benefits not because of rhetoric, but because of results. This is the level of seriousness and commitment that Miami's future requires. When we look at what this new chapter in Miami means, it's not simply a local headline. It's a clear signal about what communities want from their leadership and how a city can move forward when vision matches action. The election of a new mayor who represents both historical change and a promise of unity is more than symbolic. It is an affirmation that leaders must be ready to listen to every voice, unite diverse interests, and articulate a path forward that delivers results for all residents. This isn't about partisan politics or superficial narratives. It's about building a cohesive strategy for growth and shared prosperity in one of America's most dynamic cities. Miami has long been defined by its cultural vibrancy, global reach, and economic potential. At the same time, it has faced significant challenges. from housing affordability and infrastructure demands to governance that must work for a highly diverse population. What emerged from the recent election is a leader who campaigned not on abstract concepts, but on practical solutions that reflect the lived experience of residents. It sends a powerful message. Citizens are looking for leadership that takes their concerns seriously, that understands their daily struggles, and that commits to tangible improvements, not empty promises. A defining aspect of this moment is its signal of unity and inclusive leadership. In her remarks, the new mayor made it clear that winning an election isn't about representing only those who voted for her. It's about governing for every person in the city. That mindset, one that prioritizes inclusivity and collective progress, stands in stark contrast to leadership that divides or focuses solely on narrow interests. The ability to speak to the full spectrum of a city's population, embracing its diversity while forging common ground, is central to moving Miami forward in a way that benefits all neighborhoods and all communities. Moreover, this outcome carries strategic significance, not just political. The decisive margin of victory reflects broad support for a leadership agenda rooted in pragmatism and delivery. It's a call from Miami's residents for governance that is responsive, accountable, and centered on solving practical problems, from housing to economic opportunities. That broad mandate offers the new administration the credibility it needs to pursue ambitious but realistic goals for the city's future. Importantly, this transition also underscores the value of trust building in public life. When residents see that leaders are willing to step beyond rhetoric and commit to meaningful action, confidence in local government strengthens. People want to feel that their leaders are not just figureheads, but effective stewards of the public interest, capable of managing complex issues with professionalism, empathy, and unwavering dedication. In this light, today's shift isn't merely an electoral result. It's a renewed charter for collaborative governance, forward-thinking strategies, and unity of purpose. It represents a community ready to tackle its challenges with energy, optimism, and a belief that leadership can indeed deliver results that improve people's lives. That's the true significance of this moment. A city looking ahead with a clear focus on progress, inclusivity, and shared achievement. And now, the moment of truth is here. The promises have been made, the city is watching, and the future is no longer a question. It's a challenge waiting to be conquered. This is the turning point, the day Miami steps into a new era where leadership is measured by results, not words. The streets, the neighborhoods, the people, they all demand action, and the path forward is clear. Brace yourselves, because what comes next will define a city, inspire a community, and prove that when vision meets execution, anything is possible. The countdown to real change has begun, and there is no looking back.